Welcome back. So, from corporate to cash flow, we're Andrea Cannon and Liz Schwab, two pharmacists navigating the process of building time and financial freedom through real estate investing and lending while working our day jobs. Navigating the journey is difficult, but our podcast guests are experts in showing us how it's done. And today we have Jamie Davis. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us.
I am so excited to be here. Thank y'all so much for having me.
Yes, thanks so much, Jamie. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So, we're super interested to hear about your journey. So, can you tell us a little bit about whether you worked in corporate or had a regular W 2, maybe how you became interested in real estate, and what you're focusing on today in real estate?
Yes. I'll just start from the beginning. When I was in law school, I like literally applied for like all these clerkships, right, throughout the summer. And I was like, okay, I got to get this amazing clerkship. I got to get an amazing clerkship because in law school, it's all about your summer clerkships. Your clerkship will depend how you fare when you are graduating and you pass the bar and where you're going to work, right? And so I knew pretty much as soon as I got to law school, I wanted to be in a corporate setting. I wanted to be an in-house attorney, but it's very, very hard to get an in-house role right out of law school. They prefer you to be working for these big, they call them the big law, right? Big law firms, and then like transition to in-house. But I was like, nope, I'm set, I'm focused on this. So I actually interned, did a clerkship with Walmart Stores Incorporated in Bentonville in the real estate team. So I literally immediately like was thrusted into in law school into real estate, learning about these commercial deals and their out parcels and their oil and gas is a big thing. Like all of their business was just so interesting to me. So then once the summer was up, they offered me a job. So that was my 2L summer. Right. So I had one more year, I had my last year of law school. They offered me a role when I graduated. And I was like, okay, I accepted, but I still was like, it's Arkansas. Like I need to be somewhere where there's like fun. And I was like, I need to be in like DC, New York, Chicago, somewhere where it's fun, right? So it's funny because like the whole year, 3L year, my last year of law school, I'm like still applying for jobs. I'm like interviewing. And it's so funny because God really wanted me in Bentonville because I was interviewing, and every time it was like, no, 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 no. So then when I would tell people like, yeah, I'm gonna go for Walmart, they're like, so why are you still interviewing? Right? Like, what is going on? You have a job. So that was funny. So graduated law school, passed the bar, started working in Bentonville, Arkansas on the real estate team, did a lot of just interesting work there. And then I had like I had a great mentor who was like, hey, are you interested in compliance? There are a lot of attorneys that are needed in the compliance space. We have this big consent decree with the environmental side. I think you'd be great. And I was like, well, I'm already doing a lot of environmental stuff at the time. My region was Southern California. So I was dealing with a lot of environmental stuff with Walmart at the time. So I moved over to the environmental team and I really enjoyed that work there. And then AMC Theaters in Kansas City recruited me to be their real estate attorney. So I moved from Bentonville to Kansas City, which was like 3 hours away. And at that point, Kansas City was it. Like, it was, like, the biggest city, right, I had ever lived in as an adult, right? So, and I worked on, like, some amazing projects. So, if you've ever been in AMC theaters, it's, like, the reclining seats, the dine-in theater concept. I worked on all those deals with my boss. It was just the 2 of us. And I was really blessed to just have a lot of autonomy, work with a lot of cities, and just work on a lot of, like, difficult projects. So, at that time, AMC was really expanding. So AMC went from like the third or fourth theater exhibitor to like the number one in the world, right? So it acquired Carmike, and then it also acquired Odeon, which was an international theater exhibitor. So I had the opportunity to work on all those deals. So then, right, what happens in corporate is stuff starts slowing down. So as projects were slowing down, I was like, okay, real estate slowing down. I was like going to different departments. How can I help? Let me help. Let me help. From a marketing standpoint at the time, like I said, it was just two real estate attorneys. And then there were like four attorneys that did the other work, the marketing and things like that. At the time, one of those attorneys was on leave. So I went to the general counsel and was like, hey, can I do some of their work? And they were like, perfect. Yes. So I was doing some of the work because I started to see that real estate was starting to slow down. The CEO was like, "Oh, we're not gonna have layoffs. We're not gonna have layoffs." And then what happened? They had layoffs. Okay. Because real estate has started to slow down, it was just me and my boss. Who do you think they let go? Me, the young one, right? So I get laid off with in the restructure or whatever they want to call it. It was like 66 of us, right? And at that time, that was huge for AMC Theaters because it's a smaller company than people probably imagine, right? And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, I did everything that people tell you to do. I go when I work on other projects when you see that there's a shift. I make myself available. I'm staying late at night. I'm working on the projects. I'm going to the conferences for them, represent I'm doing all the things. Like, what happened? So at that point, I was like, okay, let me lean into my network. And one of my mentors from Walmart was like, hey, there's a position to come back to Walmart. It's in the field. You'll be in Jacksonville, Florida. But what do you think about it? And I was like, I'm in. And so I literally, that was like maybe 3 weeks later. So I was like, like they had like the mass layoff. And then 3 weeks later, I had signed my offer back at Walmart. Right. And so that is one of the things I will tell you relationships are so big because, a lot of the people that were let go in that 66 number weren't able to transition as fast as I was. But I maintained those relationships, right? I was always following up with people, always keeping up with them on Facebook or LinkedIn. So it was easy for me to say, hey, and humble, right? To be like, hey, there was a layoff. I was the only attorney laid off. I also was the youngest, right? Um, so it's like, okay, always making sure that you have an exit strategy. I learned that with that role. So moved to Jacksonville, Florida. I was there 1 year and Walmart was like, hey, we're gonna restructure the regions. So do you want to move to Bentonville? And I was like, I've already done the Bentonville thing. Like, can I do something else? Like, what is going on? Right. I'm in the process of building my first home. I was like, what is going on? So they were like, they made an exception. They let me move back to Kansas City. So I was like, okay, that's a happy medium. If you need me, I'll drive the 3 hours. Um, and that role I had like it was like every day I'm in a store, I'm doing audits. So it's a totally different role than me being an attorney. I'm in a true compliance role where I have literally all these states under my purview. And I'm responsible from a compliance and ethics for all these stores, right? I mean, everything from um like Illinois to Rhode Island and Georgia, like crazy region, right? Very different regulatory needs, right? And so, and then what happened? There's another restructure. And they're like, but that's what happens with these big corporations. They move around. When you have new leadership, they structure things different. And so then it was like, okay, I can't keep moving. Right, I can't keep moving. I'm uprooting my life like every year, every 2 years. And so that's when, to be honest, I had already started the process of entrepreneurship. So I started with two vending machines. Okay. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do some vending machines. I like to eat. Right. I was like, I'm gonna do some vending machines, right? I like to snack. So I started with two vending machines and then I started a micro market business as well. So it was micro market and vending. So micro markets are like if you go to the airport and you kind of like scan your card, you go into the area, you pick your items, and then you just walk out. That's what a micro market is. So I had several of those in high end office buildings in the Kansas City area. So I scaled from like 2 to 25 in like a year. And then people started like knocking on my door and being like, hey, can we buy your route? And I was like, well, I'm not done building it out yet. And then I got a number that I couldn't refuse. So I was like, okay, yeah, sold. Um, and then from there, I started doing real estate. I said, okay, now I have this business experience. I scaled it really, really quickly. And then I started buying fourplexes and duplexes. And, now I'm now in the space of mental health and behavioral health. And so it's been a crazy journey, but it's nothing. I always say I let go and let God. So like I let go of being like, I have to have this type of life. I have to do this. I have to do this. And I started saying, what do you want to do and how do you want to do it? And what I knew was I like to travel, but I don't like to move. So I can't do any more jobs where I have to move. I was like, I have to do what I have to do for me. So that's kind of how that went from corporate to cash flow for me.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. They they made you change a lot and really wanted you to go back to that one area. So yeah, it's kind of funny, like you said before, how that worked out. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, for sure.
super curious, like how did you end up in the mental health aspect of all of this?
Yes. So 3 years ago, I'm in Phoenix. I'm walking into the Super Bowl at the time the Chiefs were playing, and I lived in Kansas City. So and I still am a big Chiefs fan. So a group of us went to the Super Bowl. It was Chiefs versus the Eagles. and my phone is like blowing up. And I'm like, what is going on? Y'all know I'm going to this game, right? And so I finally answer it. And one of my closest friends since college informed me that our mutual good friend and Soray's sister had died by suicide. And I'm at the game. So like imagine paying all this money to be at a Super Bowl with your friends, and then you get a news that your best friend is gone, right? And so I am like, I don't even know, I don't remember the game, right? I don't remember.
Mhm.
I think I failed. People picked me up. They probably thought I was like drunk or something. Definitely wasn't. I was like crying. And I had to like sit there because it's like, well, where would I go? Would I go back to the Airbnb and like cry and like right? Like it was like, what do you do? So I'm
Right.
literally at the game. Don't remember. I'm sitting there. Don't remember anything. And I'm playing back our last conversation over and over and over. And I knew that there were some mental things going on with her. Like we would get on Zooms during COVID. We would talk to her. We would, talk to her about her medication. We would really try to like encourage her. But I kept thinking to myself, what did I do wrong as her best friend? We were
Mhm.
best friends since freshman year. Like I felt like it was my fault. And so I will tell you, for me, this mental health is not just for those that are dealing with mental health issues. It's for the family and friends that are trying to figure out how to support their loved ones, their best friends, their family, their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, because it is a true journey. And it took me going to therapy, going to grief counseling, and really working on myself to realize it wasn't your fault, Jamie. Her journey was her journey. And that was sadly supposed to happen to her, right? And so I had to realize, I can't then spiral and be depressed myself. I have to still live my life. So through that, I was like, what can I do in the mental health space to help other people who's like her? She was a first
Mhm.
responder, right? She was very smart. She graduated a year before me at the University of Florida. Um, had 3 degrees, multiple businesses, but was dealing with so much pain. And so it's like, how can I help people like her and people like me who were just trying to support but didn't know how? So that's why it became like a passion project of mine.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. That's a really sad story. But it definitely shows like the meaning that comes
Yes.
with your journey going into the mental health aspect. So I can certainly appreciate that. And I think a lot of people, they probably know more people that this relates to than not, unfortunately, just as the times change. So I appreciate you going into that realm, although it was an unfortunate reason for how you ended up there, essentially.
Yeah. And so for me it was how we can help people because a lot of times you don't know how to help. And so I did the typical going to like the mental health first aid responder classes. Of course, we did the fundraiser in her name or the scholarship in her name, but I was like that's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough. And for me it was not enough because I know that if it was the other way around, she would go above and beyond for me to honor me. And so
Yeah.
this is my way of going above and beyond to honor her, but to truly help someone else live their life fully and get the help that they truly need.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the effects of what you're doing now extend beyond, your best friend. It's going to help all these other individuals that are struggling as well. So you can certainly see the continued effect of that. I would love to learn a little bit more about what that looks like, though. I know Andrea and I are both healthcare professionals, but I think this is kind of a newer aspect to both of us to understanding maybe what this looks like and what it entails. So if you could give us like maybe a little bit more details on everything, that would
Yeah.
be great.
Yeah, so I am opening up a mental health clinic here in the Dallas area. It's in Bedford, and it is an intensive outpatient program. So a lot of times when you think about mental health, you just think about the two components. You think about either seeing your therapist like once every other week, right, for the 1 hour, or you think about the treatment centers where they actually check yourself in and you're there for 5 weeks or however long, right? But a lot of people don't know about IOP. And IOP is you literally are allowed to live your life. You're allowed to go to work. You're allowed to live at home, but you're having that intensive therapy every day based upon what your need is. So you can have anywhere between 3 hours. So our program is 3 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, right? And we have three different tracks. Either we have a morning track. Let's just say you have a little bit more flexibility and you can go into work later. You have that morning track, 3 hours, and then you have the afternoon track for those that have to go to work and it's after work hours. And then on the weekend as well, we have a virtual track where we'll provide virtual um, IOP as well. So the two tracks during the week are in person, and they're life skills, individual therapy, group therapy sessions, and things like that. So I hired a clinical director, have the location now. We're just waiting on the good old state of Texas to give us our license, and then we will continue to hire out, and we should be open by September. So super, super excited about that. And then from there, I was like, well, we need to get some real estate into this. How do we do that? And so the behavioral health residential facilities that I'm actually closing on in a few weeks in Phoenix is a 10 bed, 4 bath, and it is literally going to be a licensed behavioral health facility where the patients will live, and they'll be provided their services as well in the house. So super, super excited about that. And then also, I just opened up a durable medical equipment business. And I know I just keep adding on these services and help. And so if you've ever, been discharged, so a lot of patients like during COVID, when they were discharged from the ICU, they had oxygen tanks and oxygen machines that went home with them. I provide that to clients. Braces, bedpans, um, hospital beds. So anything from that perspective, and it's backed, of course, by insurance and Medicare and Medicaid and all that. So I have like truly dived into healthcare, from just being a typical like real estate attorney, then real estate investor, and then now I am a full-on healthcare entrepreneur.
I love that. That's so interesting. And so the behavioral health research facility is in Phoenix. And what is it called, the thing that you're doing in Dallas?
It is an intensive outpatient facility. So,
Outpatient.
so it's just a clinic. They're not staying there.
Okay,
So
okay.
it's different yeah, it's different structure. So it's truly a clinic, but they're there for 3 hours for their tract, and then the behavioral health actually living on site. Mm.
Nice. And could you maybe in the future, because you were talking about how to incorporate real estate, like could you in the future maybe own the clinic aspect of it, like the actual
Yeah, I can
building?
own the building for sure. I just leased this one because this is the first. But then after I was like, I wanna do a different model. I wanna own, and I wanna house, and I was like, really build it out. So yes, that is the goal, is to scale the Mental Shift Wellness Center. And it's a encompassing. So it's not just IOP. We're gonna
Mhm.
have Reiki, we're gonna have Pilates, yoga. So it's truly a full, because I truly believe that wellness is both mental and physical, right?
Absolutely.
And so that is what we're doing as well. So super excited about that. And so even in Phoenix, with the behavioral housing, right, where we will have some of those aspects as well. We'll have someone come on site and do like Pilates, like mat Pilates or mat yoga and things like that.
Yeah, so the I know these are in two different locations, but maybe in the future will you hope to get an IOP facility in Phoenix and a behavioral health facility in Dallas to kind of provide like a full continuum, or is that not
That
how
is
it
the
works?
goal. That is the
Okay,
goal. Yes. And
so
so earlier,
cool.
I think, yeah, yeah. Earlier, I was telling you that there is a house here in the Dallas area that we're actually going to be putting in an offer on. We just got the information, so we've been doing our due diligence, but we're going to put an offer probably tonight or tomorrow. But that would work perfectly with the IOP here in the Bedford area. So yes, that is the goal, is to scale it out.
That is so fascinating. And it's funny because, like Liz mentioned, we're both in healthcare, but I really had no idea that this sort of aspect even was a thing. Do people go from always from behavioral health to IOP, or could you identify that you need to just go from IOP never having been in an inpatient treatment?
Correct. Like you can just be, let's just say, talking to your therapist, the one that you meet with an hour, and they
Mhm.
recommend that you need intensive. So you don't have to just go from patient to like IOP. You can actually be recommended just from your therapist, your everyday therapist. Yeah. If you need that intensive care. Yeah.
Oh
Hmm.
man, so many aspects and layers to this. Thank you for sharing because I think this is a really neat aspect. How long has the licensing taken? Like, has that been a hurdle? Is it pretty fast? I know you said the great state of Texas, so wondering.
It's a lot. So we're just waiting. We're like, okay, it should be. So it depends. It could be anywhere from 4 months to 6 months. It just depends, right? Because you're talking about dealing with people that have substance abuse, and they're going through your file, and they're looking through your clinical director's past. They're looking at your curriculum. They're looking at everything. So Yeah, it's a process. And then, of course, you have to get licensed. So at the Mental Shift Wellness Center, we are only taking PPO. So we're only taking commercial insurance. So the Blue Cross Blue Shield, the Aetna, the United, and cash pay. Now, with our behavioral housing, we will take Medicare, right? But the goal is to streamline. So the house that we will be buying, speaking that into existence, will
Yes.
also be private pay, because it aligns with the clinic, right? It aligns with the clinic. So then if we purchase in Phoenix, because that house is Medicare, right? Then the clinic will accept Medicare. So
Ah,
it aligns with, yeah.
yeah. Okay, that makes it. This is making a lot of sense.
Yeah,
So thank
yeah,
you for sharing that.
yeah.
You have had such an incredible journey so far. I mean, this is really, really cool. And also, side note, I was very surprised with Bentonville when I went there myself. Like, I actually, it's like so cute. So,
Yeah, when I was there, it wasn't that cute. Now, maybe I also was, like, right out of law school, and I, like, wanted to finally enjoy life, and, like, I was like, I'm free. I just been in school my entire right? And so, yeah, I was like, "Oh, it's nothing to do."
like, yeah, no, yes, that is very true. Mountain biking capital of the world, at
It
least self.
is, yes, and
So,
if you have, like, 10 kids, you're perfect, right? Like, if you have the kid and I was, so I was like, "I don't have the kids, the husband." You're so just sitting there watching everybody else enjoy life.
right. Well, so thinking about the journey that you've had, is there anything that I'm sure there is. So, would you mind sharing something that you've learned along the way that you wish you would have known sooner?
Oh, yeah, there's just so many. Of course, I'm very big on, like, where you are is where you're supposed to be. So where what I have started really I just turned 40 a couple months ago, and so I will be honest, I was like, "Oh my gosh, 40, like, this is crazy." And it's crazy because I was just on the plane, going to Las Vegas with some other healthcare entrepreneurs, and, I was sitting next to this young guy, and he was like, "Well, they're like, "We're the same age." And I was like, "No, we're not." And he was like, "How old are you?" I was like, "I'm 40." He was like, "I thought you were 30." I was like, "Well, I appreciate it. I do." Right? I was like, "I really do." But the way my knees crack when I'm on the Stairmaster, I know I'm 40, okay? I know I'm 40. But so I say that to say for a long time, I really rushed life. Like when I was in college, I was like, I can't wait to get to law school. And then when I got to like grad school, then I was like, okay, I can't wait to like I never was in the present. And I think that's just a part of like I don't know. I just always had this goal and I always was working to it. I never like stopped to smell the roses. I never enjoyed the journey. Like even in high school, I remember this one guy would be like, "Jamie, are you going to the basketball game?" I was like, "No, no, no. I'm going to University of Florida. I don't have time for the basketball. I got to like prepare my essay." Right? And I did have to prepare my essay, but like little things like that, like just enjoying high school. I don't even think I enjoyed because I was so focused on being a Gator. And I went to University of Florida. Now, I will say I did enjoy college, right? During that time, we won everything. Won a football game, basketball championship. So I thoroughly enjoyed my time. I think we were like the number one party school. So I did enjoy college, but I felt like I never stopped to like appreciate the moment and where God was bringing me and all the accomplishments. And so that is something I wish I would have done more. I was always focused on the next, the next, the next. And when you have that, you have anxiety. So I've had to really work on my own mental health of not putting so much pressure on myself and not having so much anxiety and getting sleep. And so I think that is a big thing I wish that if I could go back to my 20-year-old self, it would say be in the present moment, be excited about what God is flowing in your life and calm down. Like what is meant to be will be, you know?
Yeah, I'm relating so much to this. I'm sure Liz is like, yeah, that sounds like Andrea too.
I feel like that's a lot of, like, professional women. Like, I feel like we always are like, "The next goal, the next this, because we gotta do this, because we have to do this, and this gets us here, and da 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 da," right? Like, I think that that is just taught to us in school. Like, you have to do this to this, and sometimes getting there, you can get there by going this way and then going you right? And I think a lot of times we're just taught da 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 da, and there's other ways you can get there.
Yeah, like for me, for example, like I went and only did 2 years of undergrad before I went into pharmacy school because I knew if I took summer school, I could get all of the prerequisites finished in that time. And I didn't take a single fun class. I didn't study abroad. I didn't do anything outside of just exactly what I had to do in order to get into
Yep.
pharmacy school as fast as possible because I wanted to minimize my student loans, just being smart, but also it's like who has time for extra school, who has time for extra stuff, like any fun classes. Like I'm just going to go straight through as fast as possible, goal, goal, goal. And so like like I said,
You're right. So
very
you didn't take any. So let me tell you, I took a class called The Meats We Eat. Okay. And
oh
it
wow,
was just the meats we eat was like the easy A class. And we
nice.
literally learned about like all this meat. And I think at the end of it, like they made us like food and we could like eat like crazy stuff like that. You didn't get to enjoy any of that. The meats
No,
you
I
eat.
didn't do not one. Not one class like that. I mean, I even would look at the classes and see how many of the prereq boxes they would check for pharmacy school, and I wouldn't do any that were less than two. Like if it only just checked one of the boxes, like that wouldn't work. Like I was aiming for three
Okay.
boxes checked, but sometimes it was only two. But I never would do one that's just what was just one. Like it would count for like this sociology and this history at the same
Yeah.
time. Like
Yeah.
anyway, but yeah, I appreciate that advice, and I also agree that slowing down is a good thing, and being super intentional with what you're doing, because that's what it sounds like, how you've kind of pivoted from there.
Yes.
So, so thinking about, being a corporate attorney versus being an entrepreneur, wondering if there's any habits or routines that you've developed that are different that you've utilized to help you stay on target as an entrepreneur, because they're obviously a little bit different.
They are a little bit different. So you're saying one where like one skill that I'm trying to think. So I will say this. When you are a corporate attorney and you're supporting business units, you have to navigate politics. Like you have to navigate, this person, and this team doesn't like this team because they think that this team doesn't work and da 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 da. Da. So you're navigating all the politics, right? But even as an entrepreneur, especially in healthcare and real estate, there are still politics you have to navigate. It's just different. So in real estate, I'm always looking to see, okay, what's coming down the pipeline. So for a long time, I had several Airbnbs. Well, as we know, a lot of these cities, from a political standpoint, do not like Airbnbs. Why? They want to focus in on the hotels. They want to make sure that the hotels are getting the revenue, right? And so that's from a political standpoint. So knowing what's coming down the pipeline. I started seeing early on, okay, there's going to be some changes. I see city council having some conversations. I would, if I didn't make city council meetings, I would read their minutes, right? I would do things like that to understand what was coming down the pipeline because I knew kind of how to maneuver because of my corporate job and dealing with that, with the politics there, right? So then I was able to take my Airbnbs and transition them to long term tenants, right? And rentals. So I think politics is just very important in healthcare, right? There is this big focus right now on fraud when it comes to Medicare. And because I know that, and because I'm on the Department of Justice website and I'm seeing all these people that are indicted in Miami and just all these different places, and what they're looking for, right? So a big piece was in Croatia. There was a big Croatia fraud scheme where it was like $100 million, something crazy, right? And they found out that the people aren't even like here; they're in Croatia, and they've been billing Medicare fraud for years, and $100 million just gone, right? So understanding that landscape and saying, okay, when we do this housing or when we do this service, let's just do private pay. Let's just do, insurance. Let's not focus on Medicare right now because right now Medicare is hot and it's going to be harder to get a Medicare P10 license, right? It's going to be harder. And we want to make sure that our other clients aren't getting left behind because a lot of people just go to Medicare because it's easy. It's easy, right? It's easy. So we're just going to do Medicare. We're just going to do Medicare clients. But what about the clients who are W-2 workers who have insurance? Like, are we actually providing a service to them? Like that, you see what I'm saying? Like a lot of people go for the easy, which is Medicare, Medicaid, but right now it's a scrutiny on the easy, right? Um, and so that is something I will say I use a lot is understanding the politics of the healthcare industry and the real estate industry, just like I did in corporate America.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense. And this may be like a super dumb question, or you're like, yeah, duh. But so talking about your attorney background, like how often do you use that actually in real estate? Like, do you find that that's been super beneficial for
Yeah,
you?
every day,
Yeah.
every day. And I still practice. Like I'll still take little projects here and there. Earlier today I was on like two CLEs, right? I think it's important to keep your license up. So I'm still a practicing attorney. I just no longer work for major corporations. I'll do projects here and there. But I will tell you every day I'm negotiating, every day I'm looking at a contract, every day I'm looking at something and I'm like, this is not, no, no, no. So I literally, from a compliance and lens and a legal lens, but literally it's every day.
Yeah.
Every day I am looking at something and I'm using the skills I learned in law school or while practicing. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually think it's like such a great background to come from. One of my good friends was an attorney and then retired in real estate. And I was like, man, that's so nice. Cause I was like, can you read this contract? Like, is this like, you know what I mean? I'm like, hey, what's this look like
Yeah.
to you? Can I take this person to court? Like, and so, I'm always like, man, I kind of wish I would have gone to law school because I feel like it's a nice transition into the real estate realm.
And I'm always looking at regs too, like the regulations. Like I'm always like, what's going on now? What they doing? What's
Hmm.
going? And it's easy for me to like be like, okay, yeah, this is coming down the pipeline. This is a moratorium. This is this. Like I'll tell you, like in my durable medical equipment business, there's a lot. Like I was kind of talking about with the fraud, and so I'm always on the Department of Justice website saying, okay, who got indicted today? Oh, dang, like. A whole bunch of
Yeah,
people got
yeah.
indicted in Miami, right? Like, or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I learned about the Croatians. I was like, oh my gosh, like what's going
yeah. Yeah,
on,
yeah, yeah.
right? And then there was like this big Russian sting. And I'm like, gosh, Lee. But I'm literally like, it has been crazy, right? So if you go on the Department of Justice website, it will show you all of the indictments in healthcare. It is like craziness right now going on. So
Yeah.
literally, I literally will spend my mornings like after my routine. I'm like, as I'm on like the treadmill, I'm like, let's see what's going on in the regulations today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny because people will be like, get on like pop culture websites or whatever, and you're like, let's look at the fraud today,
Let's
you
look at the
know? So,
fraud. Let's see who got in trouble today. And like, right? And
yeah.
it's always some crazy like a doctor who was forging stuff. You're like, you literally risked your license for
Uh,
that? Like, come make it make sense, right? But
yeah.
it shows you how people get so desperate. Like I'm literally reading this and I'm like, this is crazy. But it shows you, okay, these are the pitfalls. Like make sure you have the right marketing team. Make sure it's not offshore, right? Make sure it's a US based market. So I'm learning so much by me taking the extra steps to like kind of like I don't want to say giggle at the fraud, but it's like you did what? Like come on now,
Oh,
right?
for sure.
It's
For
kind of
sure.
like reality TV, right? You
Yeah.
watch it because you're like that's not my life. Like I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
fighting with like all these crazy women and I'm not doing this, but you still like to get some of the drama, but you like to be away from it, right?
Right, right, right,
That's
right.
how it
Did
is
you
when
hear
I'm
what
on the
they did?
partner
Yeah. Yeah.
website.
For,
I'm like, woo, buddy, right? Woo, wouldn't be me, like
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh man, that's so funny. But it's perfect. It's perfect for your situation.
yeah, yeah.
And I know you've learned like so many different things like from your law school experience and then you're talking about how you went into the medical field and you've learned everything about that and durable equipment.
Yeah.
So let's shift to like finances because I'm sure you've learned some lessons,
Yes,
maybe for lack of a better word, in the finance realm as well.
yes.
So we like to ask, like, if you're talking to someone who's maybe newer to like maybe managing their finances or just financial independence, like what type of advice would you give them?
I say get the right team, right? I have the best CPA, and of course I'm gonna be like really biased because my CPA is like my sorority sister who I'm like dear friends with, but like and she understands small businesses. So that's the other thing. Get a CPA that understands small businesses, understands real estate. She understands it because she's also an investor. She understands investing in different businesses because she also invests in different businesses. She literally is like the nucleus to all my businesses. If I did not have her as a CPA and then her team does my bookkeeping, I would be lost. So I think it's really important to have that foundation when you were weak in something. Like I went to law school for a reason because I'm not good at numbers, right? So getting the right person on your team is going to be crucial, right? And having just like real transparent conversations like about what does this look like, right? Because for a long time I didn't understand. I understood numbers a little bit, right? But like I didn't understand everything that comes with buying a business, right? When I bought so I went from like my two micro markets to then buying some and then adding on to that, right? I didn't realize, right? Like all that comes with it. I didn't realize the tax write-offs. And that's why it's important to have the right people on your team. I learned about building my business credit. I learned about taxes and cost segregation studies and how I was able to really alleviate a lot of my taxes when I had my W-2, right? These are things I learned because I put myself in the right rooms. I hired the right team, right, that helped me understand. And then if I didn't understand, I would take it upon myself to go a little bit further. Like dumb it down for me, right? And make it as easy for me to understand. So that was what I would say is like get the right people who are going to help you understand that particular area that you can really trust, but also trust but verify. Like I don't leave, you cannot leave everybody, like you can't just be like here you go and then never look at it. Like you also have to understand the business as well, right? So that's going to be very important.
Yeah, that's such good advice. And you can't really do it alone, right? And some people have gone through these experiences before, and you can lean on them and their expertise to help make sure that you're doing things on the up and up and as well as possible. I mean, like you said, just as the example with like tax strategies and things, like I, of course, had never heard of a cost segregation study before I got involved into real estate. And how would you know, right?
Yeah.
So it's nice that you're able to lean on, a good team, and that's some really good advice.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
transitioning a little to a fun question, because I know you
Ooh,
mentioned you like to travel. So Liz and I both like to travel, get outside, explore the outdoors, have fun on our wealth building journey, not just save it for retirement or
yeah.
someday. So with that, I'm wondering if you have any upcoming bucket list travel that you're hoping to accomplish in the next couple of years.
Yes. Okay, so I'll tell you some of my favorite places I've been, and then I'm gonna tell you like I am just like really big on like traveling. Like I'm not married, I have no kids. I'm like I've always been that girl to go, right?
Love it.
So favorite places, I loved Iceland. I had a whale burger there. So every time I travel, and these I get excited. Every time I travel, I try my best to eat something that is like local there or like known there. So I had the whale burger in Iceland. It was amazing. Okay. Don't judge me. I went to Australia and I had kangaroo. Do
I'm
not
not
judge
sure.
me. Do not
That's
judge me. Liz is like, what? Not the
awesome.
kangaroo. Not the
My problem is
kangaroo.
I think of like the baby version of all the animals. So when you say like kangaroo, I'm like baby
I
kangaroo. So
know,
yeah.
I know, I know, I know. And I will tell you, we had to like really, really find a restaurant because they don't really do that now. So it was like a couple, like right, it was like a whole thing. Um, and Thailand, like I ate everything in Thailand, like Thailand and South Korea, like I literally probably gained like 15 pounds. I was in it. And then I like of course went to the spa and was like, scrub me down as I'm like eating all this crazy stuff, right? So yes. Now on the list of places, so I went to Curacao for my birthday. Have y'all heard of and I might be pronouncing it wrong, Curacao? Okay, small island by Venezuela, but like amazing Caribbean island, like so much fun. So that was there. Went there in March for my birthday. I am going to where else am I going? I'm going back to Martha's Vineyard for like a whole month for the
Oh,
summer. Martha's Vineyard is amazing. Yeah, I'm going for a whole month, taking my family, my parents and my sister. Super excited about that. Going to Dubai. So Dubai, Tokyo, and like all these are on my list for 2027. I haven't booked them yet, but
yes.
trust and believe. Now, I will tell you, New Year's Eve, I want to go back to Ghana. So I was just in Ghana for January. Yeah, I was just in Ghana in January. I want to go back for it's called Dirty December. And it's like a
Okay.
whole bunch of like parties and just like the food in Ghana was amazing. I went to Nigeria too and I had a great time. So I want to do one of these New Year's coming soon, right there. Just like so much fun. So I love to travel as y'all can see. Like I am one that's like not afraid to get on a plane
I love
at
it.
all.
We are like kindred sisters in this.
Yeah, you see how excited I get? I'm like,
Somewhere really cool for New Year's that you should think of at some point is you mentioned Iceland, and our second time in Iceland, we went for New Year's, and it was the coolest New Year's I've ever had. In
really?
Reykjavik, they set off all these fireworks. We also got to see the Northern Lights at the same time, which was insane. You obviously can't guarantee that, but it was
Yeah,
like fireworks with Northern Lights above, and just absolutely the most magical experience ever. And the whole trip was just really cool. And I had thought that my second time back to Iceland would be in the summertime, and here it was in the dead of winter, but it was absolutely magical and
okay,
highly recommend. So,
okay. I'm gonna have to add that one. Yeah, I just yeah, I'm gonna have to add that one.
there's so many.
I had a great time in Iceland. Like I I tell people all the time, like, go at the time, it was like a nonstop flight from Kansas City. It was very random. Like, Kansas City had they had, like, a nonstop flight to Iceland. Yeah, yeah.
That's really cool.
I
That's
was
really
like, "Let's book it, let's go."
yeah. Well, if people want to work with you or collaborate with you, bring deals to you, what can they bring you and how should they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so a couple ways. So of a couple businesses, right? If you want to go on my website, phoenixequityiinvestmentgroup.com, there you will see that's from a real estate perspective, right? That's my real estate business. If people are like, well, hold on, what is this durable medical equipment business and how did she get in it? And like, you can
Yeah.
definitely reach out to me. It is so funny. So as I opened up my location, and it's more of a drop shipping business, literally so many people have been like, hold on, what are you doing, and can you teach me, and like, can I get into this? And I'm like, yes, get into healthcare. I tell people all the time, healthcare is truly a recession proof. So I had a lot of people reach out from a consulting standpoint, and so I'm helping them open up their locations. So I'm like super super excited about, I'm very big on, I don't keep the information I have, I share it, I tell people. But definitely you can reach out to me through IG, Apartments with Jamie, or you can just email me or go on my website. So I'm an open book. Like, I literally am like, how do you want to be an entrepreneur? Like, what do you, and I can connect you if it's not real estate, if it's not healthcare. But I'm just really, really excited because I feel like I'm in my purpose now. Like, I feel like this is where God wants me to be. I had to go through all of this to get there, right? And I'm just excited.
Yeah, man. And you can tell. And I also don't know if I've laughed this much on a podcast before. Like, this has just been so much fun.
Oh my gosh, you're having fun. I'm having fun too. Like, it's like when you're talking about what you love, and it just exudes fun to me now. Like, back in the day when I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm a real estate attorney. But now I'm like, yes, I'm a real estate attorney turned real estate investor turned healthcare. Like, I get excited about it.
Yeah, and you can
Yeah.
tell, and I think that's really cool that your passion is showing through, and it's clearly something you're, really excited about, and that is exciting to me because I'm sitting here just like really having fun on this podcast. So
Yeah,
once again,
I'm glad.
thank you so much for coming on and sharing. This has been so informative and interesting, and your journey is just really, really cool. So I really appreciate you sharing.
No, anytime. If you want to reach out, please do, because like I said, there's just like this whole world out here when it comes to real estate. I think a lot of times we just think Airbnb, boutique hotels, single family, multifamily, RV park, mobile home park, and we don't, or co-living, and we don't look at other ways we can bring in the real estate piece and really how we can help people. And so for me, if I can help someone think about, oh, I have a single family house that's, that has like 5 bedrooms. Could I potentially do that? Right.
Yeah,
Get people thinking about ways that they can help their communities with their real estate. I think it's important to give back, but not just to give back, but because you also have to live your life, right? So
right.
I always tell people, like, I like to travel. Let me be clear. I like to travel, first class, right? So yes, it's about helping people, but you also have to make a profit as well,
Yeah.
right? Because as we know, the IRS will tell you real quick that that is a hobby, that is not a business.
Yeah.
So you have to bring in revenue with these businesses. You cannot just be over here like, you know, playing hopscotch and double dutch, as I say.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much for coming on here. This has been super, super fun. And like I said, learned a ton from you. And I'm really excited to learn and research a little bit more about the behavioral health research facility or residential facilities and things, just to see how that is maybe something I could do in my area as well, because I think that's a huge unmet need. And, with mental
Yes.
health and stuff, it's really big. So I really appreciate that. And thank you, everyone else, for listening to this week's episode of From Corporate to Cash Flow. We will catch you next week. Hey, it's Andrea. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you liked it, I'd love it if you hit subscribe. Thanks so much.